Storms and hurricanes, we keep reading about all this in the news daily. Wildfires happening all over, floods happening all over, heat waves, species going extinction. Look at this, current species extinction rate 10,000 times higher than natural extinction rates. So we have to understand why is this happening? What is suddenly changed? What have humans done to cause all this?
So next we have Dr. Sharang Wartikar. So none better than Sharang to speak about this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anuradha. Very good morning to all. Thank you for coming here. And anybody knows what this image is of? Yeah, so this is the point of interest. And somebody, it's called the pale blue dot. Now, this is the Earth. So this was an image which was taken by Voyager 1 space probe in 1990 when it was 6 billion kilometers away from the Earth. And that showed our place in the universe. There are millions of stars, okay, millions and millions. You know how many stars are there? There are more stars in the sky than there are grains of sand on the Earth. And each star will have multiple planets around it. So you can imagine how many planets are there. But still, there is only one planet Earth. There is no planet B. And if you look at the top 5 ways in which the world could possibly end, wars, of course, happening everywhere, climate change, pandemics, AI could take over, possibility, or some asteroid impact or super volcanic eruptions happening. Now, some of these we cannot control. Wars a little beyond us, you and I is what I'm saying, not as humans, but you and I sitting here. AI will take its course, either ways, we don't know. And natural calamities, well, we'll have to face them as they come. But if you look at these two topics, climate change and pandemics, let us discuss how you and I can make a difference here. So what is climate change? Everybody talks of greenhouse gases. We need the greenhouse gases. It's thanks to the greenhouse gases that the earth stays warm. It traps the heat which is coming from the sun and prevents it from going away, getting reflected. The problem is there is too much of the greenhouse gases now. And that is making the climate hotter and hotter. It's not allowing the heat to escape. And if you look at the greenhouse gases, everybody knows about carbon dioxide. Yes, it's the maximum in concentration, but there are two other gases we should be aware of. And that's methane and nitrous oxide. Not because they are too much in number, but because of their global warming potential, which is 30 to 300 times more than that of carbon dioxide. That is the capacity of one molecule to retain heat. It is that high. So even though your numbers are small, the effect is magnified. There is global warming happening. Let us not deny that. We can see it. This is last 200 years, the average temperature of the globe. You can see it is just, going up and up and up. It's rising constantly. And if we, don't do anything, we will have the temperature by 2100 going up to even 5 degrees. Even if the current policies are being followed, the temperatures will likely rise by 3 degrees. If we rely on the governments to actually implement their pledges, and we know how governments are all over the world, but even if we assume they follow whatever they are promising, still the temperature is going to rise by 2.5 degrees. You'll say, 2 degrees, we'll just increase the AC, what's the big deal? But there is a problem. We are talking of, so the important part is that government cannot just help us. We have to do, you and I do have to do something. So why is this temperature so important? This is what is happening. You can see here, this is 1986, this is 216, this entire patch has disappeared. Complete glaciers are melting, they are just gone, they are disappearing. And in fact, Arctic Ocean may be ice-free by 2050. And by 2050, millions will be suffering from this. That includes cities of Mumbai and Kolkata. And what will happen? All these people will have to be reshifted somewhere. So there will be territory wars happening. Storms and hurricanes, we keep reading about all this in the news daily. Wildfires happening all over. Floods happening all over. Heat waves. Species going extinction. Look at this. Current species extinction rate 10,000 times higher than natural extinction rates. If you look at the history of the earth, has undergone 5 mass extinctions. The last one was when the dinosaurs got wiped off. And we are actually heading towards the 6th mass. There would be a tipping point. Once that tipping point is crossed, there is no going back. Then there will be mass extinction. And all past events were because of natural phenomena, like the asteroids hitting and all. This current one is solely driven by human activity. So what can I do, right? So we have to understand why is this happening? What is suddenly changed? What have humans done to cause all this? If you think of causes of climate change, we talk of electricity, manufacturing industry, mining industry, construction, consumerism, transportation. Yes, all these are also important. But what no one talks about is one of the biggest threats to species extinction and to our ecosystem is, believe it or not, food production. There is a documentary on this, eating our way to extinction. What does that mean? We stop eating? Thankfully not. We have to be smart. We have to eat smart. So food production can be plant agriculture, where humans grow specific crops for their direct consumption, or it could be animal agriculture, where we grow specific animals for their direct or indirect consumption. Now these animals are called livestock animals. Why am I saying grow animals? Because they are artificially bred, artificially inseminated and grown specifically for our consumption. These are not animals which are growing in the wild on their own. We are creating these animals. So that's what I'm saying, they are grown. And what does this give us? It gives us meat, fish, eggs and milk. 10,000 years ago, if you took the entire mammals on the entire planet and if you measure them by weight, 99% were all wild mammals. Okay? Only 1% were humans at that time, 10,000 years ago. And there was no livestock, obviously. We were not having animals for our consumption. Today, can anybody guess what would be the rough amount? From 99%, obviously it would have dropped, right? I mean, we have done so much of destruction all around. But any guesses? 40%. Anybody else? 30%. Sorry. No, but I'm talking of wild mammals.
So wild mammals.
Yeah, so what? 30, 10. It's 4%. So from 99%, look at the animals we are talking, blue whale, elephants, rhinoceros, all these creatures put together in the wild are only 4% left. And the remaining 96%? Humans bhi to hai. So humans are 34%, livestock is 62%. Double that of humans, and you can see nearly 15 times that of wild mammals. This is what we have created. Okay? Then we also have poultry. Let's not forget that. We are talking only of mammals. If you look at the birds, we haven't spared those also. Only 30% remaining are wild, rest all are chicken. That is the kind of consumption that we are having right now. Okay, a lot of animals. So what? And what's the big deal about this? Well, let us see the environmental impact of animal agriculture. They exist, right? And because they exist, thanks to us, they will eat and drink, right? They have to survive. They will pee, they will poo, yeah? They'll burp, they'll fart. So, burping and farting, right, releases greenhouse gases. These animals have microbes in their stomach which break down food and release methane. Remember methane we spoke about? Global warming potential is high. Their excreta also releases nitrous oxide, 300 times the global warming potential. But seriously, burp and fart, I mean, how bad can it get, right? If you put the cows and their emissions on one side, you will find that it is more than the emissions of Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, South Korea, Spain and UK combined. We talk a lot about EVs, right? Electric vehicles, we are going to change the world, save the world by electric vehicles. you put all modes of transportation, cars, buses, trucks, trains, boats, aeroplanes, everything put together, the amount of greenhouse gases they release is still less than what the cows are contributing. And more than 60%, 66% is from meat and dairy. If you look at individual foods also, you can see it's all meat and dairy that is topping the list. 1 calorie from animal protein requires 11 times the fossil fuel as compared to 1 calorie from plant protein. A meat diet creates 7 times the emissions of a plant-based diet. And these are all toxic gases and they are going to cause air pollution, and that leads to asthma, respiratory irritation and all kinds of things. So what we have seen, that because they burp and fart, they release greenhouse gas emissions and they cause air pollution. Now the very fact that they exist, they are going to occupy land. Obviously, they can't stay float around, right? If you look at the Earth's surface, we all know that 79% is land. 71% is ocean and 29% is land. Now out of this 29% of land, habitable land is only 71%. So that's part of it. Out of this, 50% of the land is used for agriculture. Okay. Now in agriculture, if you see, livestock occupies 77% of that land. And crops grown for human consumption are only 23%. Which is still okay if we are getting that much nutrition from that land. The problem is this 77% of land is providing only 18% of the global calories, while the 82% of calories are coming from that 23% land only. See how unequal the distribution is. Even proteins, we say, animal has got a lot of proteins and we need that. Even proteins, 63% of proteins are coming from plant-based foods only, even now, in spite of all that consumption. Still, whatever little plants are being consumed, they are providing the majority of proteins. That is 1/3 of total land mass available on our planet is being used for livestock. By livestock, we mean not just to keep the animals, it's to keep the animals and to provide pastures for them and to grow crops for them to feed on. And this is going on increasing. Year by year it is going on increasing because our consumption is going on increasing. This is very interesting. This was a picture in 1800 showing the distribution of various areas. If you look at this pasture in pink, you hardly see any pink there. And you switch to 2014, you will see it's all pink everywhere. Let me show you again. See this and see this. It's all spreading and we are not aware of it because we are in our cities not aware of all this. It's the biggest driver of deforestation. And as I speak, Amazon forest, the size of 10 football fields, is getting cut every single minute. Every minute, 10 football field size Amazon forest is getting chopped off in Brazil. And this is all for animal agriculture because they want to export all that. That is their money. That is where it's coming from. Look at this. See the animal products. This is the land needed for 1 kilo of food, and look at where our vegetables and fruits and potatoes are. Just look at this discrepancy. It's huge. On a plant-based diet, if you require 1/6 of an acre to feed one person, 18 times more land is required for somebody who's consuming meat daily. So, because they exist, they will have land shortage and we'll have deforestation. Now they're going to eat and drink. They are going to use the same food and water that we need. Yes, humans consume a lot of food and water, but this is what the livestock is using. 8 times and 6 times than what we are consuming. We talk of 71% of the surface field. We think it's a lot of water there. Okay? But if you take all this water and put it in a sphere, no, it will look like this. It's only on the surface. Please understand, it's only on the surface. You take it all that, make a sphere this. And out of this much water also, 97% is in the oceans, which is saline water, which we cannot drink. The remaining 2% is frozen ice, and we saw that it is melting and going into the oceans. That is also becoming useless for us now. So what is left, what we are surviving on is the underground water and lakes and rivers. That is all that we are having. And we have taken out so much of underground water that the earth's tilt has changed because of the extraction of water. That is what we are doing to the entire dynamics of the planet. Water is precious, very precious. 1 in 6 people have no access to fresh drinking water. And yet, meat and dairy industry uses 1/3 of Earth's fresh water. Fresh water, mind you. In USA, if you compare, 5% only is used for domestic purposes. 55% of the water goes for animal agriculture. Again, meat-based diet will use 5 times more water than a plant-based diet. We saw 18 times more land, 5 times more water is required. And again, if you see individual products, the food products, you will see everywhere meat and dairy, huge amount of water consumed. This is fresh water consumption. 1 kilo of beef consumes so much water that 15 years one person can drink that water. That much water goes. We are told we should save water. What do? We put sensors on our water taps, right? Reduce the flow that comes. We are saving 3 liters in a day we can save. Low flow showers, 11 liters in a day we can save. 72 liters we can by using high efficiency toilets, efficient appliances. 153 liters in a day we can save by doing all this. So what we have to understand, the majority of our water footprint is from the food we eat. It is not so much from the industrial goods or household. It is that contribution is very less. It's all about the food. So to save 2,400 liters, either you don't flush your toilet for 6 months, or you don't take a shower for 2 months, or don't eat that one beef burger. If you want to say 1,000 liters, don't do 14 times laundry, 34 times loads of dishes, or don't consume 1 liter of milk. Because that is the water footprint of 1 liter of milk. And if you compare it with any of the other milks, this is the amount of emissions, this is the land use, and this is the water use. Even almonds, which people criticize use a lot of water, it is still less than dairy. And plus all these added benefits. Coming to food, for every 100 soybeans, the cattle, what are they fed? They are fed soy only. So when they are fed, for every soybeans that is fed to the cattle, only 3 comes to humans. So that's like only efficiency is less than 3%. So 1 kg of beef can feed 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 people. But that cow has to feed 16 kg grains in order to give that 1 kg of beef. And those 16 kg can easily feed 15 to 20 people directly. So this is like we are giving a commission, more than 90% commission to a middleman. Nobody works this way. And when we eat meat, there is somebody else who's not getting to eat. You know why? Because 82% of the world's starving children live in countries where food is fed to the animals who are exported. Instead of directly giving to those who are hungry, it is given to the animals so that they are exported so that they get money. 1 billion people sleep hungry every day. 17,000 children die of starvation every day, and 1/3 of the world's cereal is fed to the animals. If this is diverted to humans, we have enough food to eliminate hunger 3 times over. So because they eat and drink, there is water shortage and there is food shortage. And they generate waste, right? How much waste? 130 times more than what humans are creating with 0 treatment facilities. 40,000 kgs are produced per second. That comes to 400 billion kgs every year. We cannot imagine these numbers. You know how much this is? This is enough to cover London, New York, Paris, San Francisco, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Berlin, Delaware, Costa Rica, Denmark, Rio de Janeiro, Bali and Delhi. So that excrement which they create in a year, if you spread it over, it will cover all these cities. The question is, why don't we see all this? The point is, it is all dumped into the oceans. And that is where we come to the effect of oceans that this industry is having. Why is the ocean so important? We are not staying there, right? We stay on land. How does it matter? It matters a lot because 70% of oxygen is coming from the oceans, phytoplanktons. We talk of rainforest, we have to preserve for our oxygen. RA colony is the lungs of Mumbai and we say all that. But 70% is coming from oceans, less than 30% is coming from forests. And we are not even aware of this. They also absorb 1/4 of the carbon dioxide which is produced. Plus, there is huge biodiversity in the oceans. And they help mitigate climate change because of the ocean currents. The heat is taken to cooler areas. The cycling happens. And because of increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide, these planktons are dying. And because they die, they cannot absorb the carbon dioxide, which increases and they further increases the acidity, and this has become a vicious cycle. So there is going to be a collapse of entire marine ecosystem. All these beautiful corals that we see are being reduced to furrowed lifeless plains known as dead zones. And these dead zones, you can see all coastal areas, they are spreading because that is where the dumping is happening. Every year, fish trawlers plow an area of seafloor twice the size of United States. That much area is being taken up, and when these trawlers go, they take it right from the base of the oceans. Everything comes along, killing 3 trillion fish every year. And there is 40% bycatch because they are not choosing fish. Everything comes along. 40% is not even eaten, not even consumed. It's just dead. They are just thrown away. 3 trillion, I just said this. Anybody has an idea how big this number is? This is this number. We cannot comprehend these numbers because after 3-4 zeros, now everything seems same. So let me pause a minute here and try to tell you. Suppose you start counting 1 to 3 trillion. Roughly how much time will you take? 1 day, 2 days to complete to 3 trillion? Some guesses? A year? Couple of years? Anyone else? To count from 1 to 3 trillion, you will take 100,000 years. 3 trillion seconds are that much. I'm assuming you can count that number in 1 second. 3 trillion, 100,000 years, that itself is a big number. That is 1,400 lifetimes of yours. You'll just sit counting. And that much fish we are killing every year. If you start walking, 3 trillion steps will take you how far? 50,000 trips around the earth. We went to the moon now. You can make 3,000 trips to the moon and back. Forget the moon. 8 trips to the sun and back we can do. Light takes 8 minutes to reach Earth. We can do 8 trips to the sun and back in 3 trillion steps. That many fish we are killing every year. No doubt we are going to have fishless oceans by 2048. Anybody knows what this picture is of? Yes, it's the this is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Okay, these are patches of plastic just accumulating in the Pacific Ocean. 5 such patches have been detected because of the ocean currents. They all stay together. You know the size of this single patch? It is 3 times the size of Rajasthan. That big is that garbage. Rajasthan, largest state of India now. The turtles, poor turtles there, 74% of their diet here is plastic. Because if they try to search for food, plastic is 180 times more than the food available for them. They don't have any choice there. And what are we told? No plastic bags, no plastic straws, no plastic cups, please. Because we are damaging the oceans. 80% of that plastic is fishing gear there. Yeah, all these trawlers, when the fishing nets become bad, it's just thrown into the oceans. And that is what is accumulating there, not our straws and all. Of course, doesn't mean start using plastic, but what we are doing, we are missing the bigger picture is what I'm trying to say. And these are just lying there. So marine animals are just randomly getting caught and died. Even the birds who dip down to pick up fish, they also get trapped. And this is happening. So they are also responsible for water pollution and ocean damage. This is a single industry causing all this. Picture abhi baki hai mere dost. We have not yet touched upon pandemics. The other possible reason for the world to end. We just came out of coronavirus. We called it China virus comfortably. We were happy China is. But is China the only one to be blamed? Because if you look at all the zoonotic diseases coming from, they are all linked in the past with some way or the other to the animal industry. Why does this happen? Because we crowd millions of animals together, cramped up spaces. We raise them in filthy conditions, okay, absolutely unhygienic. And, like Sir said, we pump them with antibiotics. As doctors, we have been taught, use antibiotics judiciously, Because if you use them rampantly, there will be resistant strains developing. Don't do that. 80% of all antibiotics are used in animals with zero control. Because they want to prevent infection, they cannot go and treat every single animal. So randomly everybody is given antibiotics, hormones, steroids, everything is given. And these are not just any random antibiotics. They are antibiotics which humans require. And when they have resistant strains, we will not have anything more left. And when these get amplified in these animals because they are so close in filthy conditions, and when we consume them, we get what are known as zoonosis. And they are all on the rise. And we may think all this is a Western world problem, But is India doing any better? Yes, if you look at the meat consumption, definitely India is, hardly anywhere. We are quite. And if you see the world beef cow inventory, India is nowhere to be found. So we are not raising cows for beef at all. But the problem is we are the largest producer and consumer of dairy. 20% of world's milk is in India. Because 30% of world's cattle is in India. 30% of the world's cattle is in India. And if we talk of the exporters of beef, do you think India will be anywhere in the list? We are second highest. Remember, we have 0 beef farms. No beef farms, but we are number 2 in exporter of beef. How does that work out? Where does all the export come from? Dairy is beef. It is the dairy industry which is supporting beef industry. Otherwise, it is not possible. Right? In India, we have some laws. Some states have laws to ban cow slaughter. There is no ban for beef slaughter. And the cows also are sent to states where it is allowed and then they are slaughtered there. So everything is still going on. And cattle, if you look at the global emission, cattle is the biggest culprit as far as the world is concerned. And no wonder India is still third on the list. Why is everyone silent about this? It's all about money. Milk is the largest crop in India, more than rice and wheat combined. So instead of stopping, we are actually promoting the dairy industry. Rampant artificial insemination, injecting oxytocin to pregnant cows, separation of cows from their mothers, lot of things are happening. So to conclude, animal agriculture is a clear and present danger. Right? 70 billion animals reared annually for food, milk and meat production likely to double by 2050. Every year 3 billion mammals, 70 billion chicken and 3 trillion fish killed for food. If we maintain current food demands, by 2030 we will need 2 earths, we have only 1. But still, there is some hope. What is that hope? We have taught refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle. Yes, but is this enough? We need to do more. And what is that? Shift to a plant-based diet. Why? Because every day on a plant-based diet compared to a meat diet, you can save an animal's life, 20 kgs of grain, 9 kgs of carbon dioxide emissions, 30 square feet of forest, 4,200 liters of water and add 3.5 hours of life to yourself. This is the impact of one person, is what I am trying to tell you. We think, "Arey, main akela karke kya karunga?" This is what one person can do. To be honest, I have experienced some side effects. Let me be very honest about it. And these are the side effects that I have felt. Personally, I have benefited a lot as far as the health is concerned. Even these some added side effects. Touchwood, I was never having any disease as such, but everything was on the higher normal. Everything has come on the lower normal range now. So, if you want to fight all this, plant-based diet is a simple, substantial, spiritually uplifting method. Their future is in our hands. We owe it to them to leave our planet in a better state than we found it. That is the least we can do. We have a choice today. They may not. Right? We all love these animals. It's not like we are not caring. We love animals. We all do. We watch all these movies and we connect with them. We feel for them. But we have a difference in our perception. Some we think have to be petted. Some we think have to be eaten. It's not really needed. These are all live sentient beings. So let us hug them. Let us not hang them. Let us snuggle them. Let us not slaughter them. Let us kiss them. Let us not kill them. We are what we eat. Right? We are what we eat. So let us eat the rainbow, not the morgue. Let us choose wisely. In the end, that is all that we have, a pale blue dot. There is no planet B. Thank you.